Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Doing a live tonight. Little different. It's the holiday season, and I got my guy. If you're just looking in now, I got my guy. Corey here from Collect for Good, and we're going to hang out for the next hour or so. Corey, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm well, Ken. Man, I'm happy to be here hanging out. I've been hanging out doing card hobby stuff all weekend, and it's been a blast. And I've gotten to watch my son play some hoops too at the highest level for high school this weekend at the City of Palms Classic. So it's been an awesome basketball weekend for me. I'm pumped to be here and hang out and chat it up with you tonight.
You can tell we're in two different parts of the country. I'm here in a sweatshirt.
Yep.
You can't see. I got slippers on.
Yep. Yep.
looks like you're there in a t-shirt.
Totally. Yeah, I was sweating all day today walking around outside.
So,
Yep.
so we messaged a little earlier. You were lucky enough to find a show somewhere here where your son was playing basketball. And isn't that the greatest thing if you got to go somewhere and you've got a little bit of downtime, and if you find a show, like that heart just starts beating. You're like, oh, I know I'm going to find something good.
Yeah, especially in a new area, right, where you don't know the dealers, you don't know the inventory. It was great. Yeah, I picked up some really great stuff today. Super pumped about
it. Whereabouts in Florida were you today?
I was in Fort Myers today.
Nice.
So City of Palms is this is the 53rd year they've run the City of Palms High School Basketball Classic. It's generally, only the top 50 teams in the country.
Yep.
So it was pretty cool to have my son be able to play in that, and then to sneak off to a show this morning. Just worked out perfect. It was a one-day Sunday show on a holiday weekend. Who would have thought? But it was a great show. It was 100 tables. It was nice.
Yeah. How was the traffic? Good?
Seemed good. I mean, I was like 8:30 a.m. and opened at 9, trying to sneak in before they opened. It seemed good. The dealer seemed happy. I left about 10 o'clock and felt like I had covered all the tables of cards I wanted to see. But it was good. I mean, a lot of dealers buying from each other, but I think this time of year, there's a lot of shows where there's a lot of selling going on. It didn't feel that way. It felt like there were people actually buying stuff today, which is cool.
So that's good. I know around here this time of year it's a hit or miss, right? I was at a show yesterday that's usually pretty busy, and I think it was decently busy yesterday. I bought a few cards, but a lot of things I noticed were priced high in cases at the show I was at. One of the things I did notice today on the Sunday shows, I saw people putting up videos from a couple other local shows. I think there was a couple other local shows here and it didn't seem like there were a lot of people at the shows today. So for whatever reason, if it was, and I'm not saying it's like that across the country, right? I'm just looking because I was having a little FOMO. I was having a little FOMO today because, normally I'd be all day locked in on my Chiefs. My Chiefs,
just you don't want to watch them today.
Decimated. The family wanted to go see Wicked, so we had 12:40, tickets for Wicked. So I'm thinking, I'm never going to be able to get up, make it to a show, and be back in time, right? So now I'm looking at the videos with FOMO, and then I'm like, wow, there's really not a lot of people. Like, probably could have got a few deals done.
Yeah. It's an interesting time of year. I mean, I'm just chalking up everything that I see that's a little slower than normal to just look. It's Christmas week. If they're not looking for a gift, at the show today, the guy running the show kept getting on the loudspeaker and telling the dealers what people, that he had people coming up to him asking for Christmas presents for people.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool thing that the show promoter did. But I think that's, other than looking for presents, people are having to hang up the hobby for a few days until they get through family stuff and Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah. And if you have those relatives that come to visit that are also in the hobby, that could really work out well, right? Because that's that time of year to say, hey, Bob's going to be here, and there's a show right up this. We got to hit that. It's a nice escape, but.
Yeah, show calendar here is pretty good for the weekend after Christmas. I'll be interested to hit those shows. I bet you they're a whole lot busier than this weekend was.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Yeah, and then we run into that the dead zone, right?
Yeah.
Like after Christmas. Well, I'm not gonna say after Christmas. I think after the Super Bowl is over,
Right.
right? And I think there's that stretch between then and baseball and things like that. This year we're gonna have the Olympics,
Yep.
right? So it's not gonna be like really nothing going on. We're gonna have something to watch, but
Yep.
I don't know if that's going to, propel the hobby at all.
Yeah. Well, except in our world, right? We've got March Madness and in March, right? So
Yeah,
after the Super Bowl, it's a little bit of a lull. We
yeah,
have Unrivaled this year in our world. Now it's niche, but for us that are in the women's basketball part of the hobby, that's the fun part about women's game is we don't have a lot of downtime. It kind of cycles like right back into each other, right?
yeah, yeah,
So like if anything, this is kind of the downtime mid-season stuff, but
yeah.
we just got releases, so everybody's hot on that right now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I know you've been doing some breaking, and we'll get into that.
Yep.
We'll jump into that in just a few minutes. Um, Fantasy teams? Do you do fantasy football?
For sure. Of course I do. And I was my team this year. Sorry, I'll give you a funny story. So for my birthday, it was my birthday weekend is Labor Day weekend. And so we were out, my wife and I went to the Georgia game. Um, and we went and stayed at Amelia Island after we went to the Georgia game. And that's when my fantasy draft was on that Sunday. And it's my birthday weekend. We're at this nice seafood dinner. And I'm like, I can't miss the draft. I got to be on the draft. So I'm on my phone, sitting at this nice seafood restaurant on the water in Amelia Island. And I sit my phone down, and it was a snake draft, right? Which I hated, but I was in with a buddy. He asked me to get in. And I have the last spot before as the snake goes around. So I get 2 picks back to back.
Yeah.
And it was a 16 team league. Like it was absurd, horrible. So first pick, I take who did I take? I took man, who was it? I took Jalen Hurts, I think. No, that's not right. Long story short, I can't remember who my first pick was, but it was a quarterback. Yeah, it was Jalen Hurts. And then my wife bumped my hand and made me pick a second quarterback as my second pick in the snake. So it just wrecked my whole draft. Right.
And you were only playing one quarterback each week.
One quarterback league. Yeah, one quarterback league. So it just wrecked me. 16 teams, you can't go more than one quarterback, right? If you starting, every quarterback would be in. And so literally she just accidentally bumped my hand and it hit my phone and picked. So I ended up with like no running backs. I ended up with Bucky Irving, and of course he got hurt.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah,
I was 1-and going into week 10, and ended up winning out because I had for some reason I had a bunch of Buccaneers. I'm a Tampa guy. I didn't intentionally pick them, but I ended up with Buccaneers, and most of that team got hurt at the end of the year, in the middle of the season. They came back at the end of the year, so I ended up winning out and winning the losers bracket in my league.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been I compare my fantasy season because I've had 5 teams, and I'm usually king of fantasy. I'm usually winning at least 1 or 2 leagues. I'm right there. I'm in the playoffs. I'm top 3. My season this year has been as frustrating as the Chiefs season, right? It's just like all the players, and somebody lets me down, or a couple guys just keep letting me down week after week after week, and I made it into the playoffs in 2. I'm getting just beat down in 1, and the other one I've got a prayer, but who knows if I'm gonna get ahead. But the one last week that I got knocked out at the end by 1 point. This week I'm scoring 109. I'm scoring more points than anybody else. So some of that fantasy, right, is you build the team for the last two weeks of the year. Yep. My problem was I couldn't make it to those last 2 weeks, right? Yep. I'm there now. I'm beating people for 8th place and 5th place. I'm crushing them, but it doesn't do me any good. Doesn't give me any of that money back anyways.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. And that's the frustrating thing about football for fantasy is a couple of injuries can end your season with football, especially if your league is too deep, right? Whereas like some of the other sports, even basketball, one injury, two injuries to some of your best players doesn't end your season, right? You can backfill with enough strategy and get the right stats to offset and still pull some wins off. But with only 1 day a week, 2 days a week, you're in trouble if you get
Yeah,
a
yeah,
couple of key guys injured.
100%. So we'll see what happens with these two leagues for me, and we'll look forward to next year. And both of these leagues that I made it into the end in are both dynasty leagues, right? So
Oh, nice.
they
Yeah.
just keep going. So it's not only that, but you'll be drafting again in June, right?
Yep.
Rookie draft in June, and starting all over again.
Yeah, that'll be fun though. Rookie drafts are fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, love it.
So we got news this week that Collectors Universe acquires, and it's nothing new. It's been all over social media. Acquires BGS. Not going to jump into the weeds on that by any means, but does it change your grading strategy or what you're doing? Because I know you grade probably almost as much as I do as far as grading wise.
Yeah, I think the challenge is PSA is just the values are so much bigger, right? I think we got to watch BGS and see if the same fate happens to them with SGC, which for Beckett would be just a travesty, right? Beckett's just been such a staple. All of us that have been in the hobby for any length of time, we started with Beckett magazine, right? And we were shuffling through all the time. And as a kid, I'd memorize every single value change every month. I couldn't wait for my Beckett to come in or run to the local card shop and grab the Beckett. And now to have that grading part of it kind of swallowed, I hope that it stays around for the hobby's sake. But maybe we'll get lucky and they'll move that to like the higher end. I don't know. Maybe there's some thought there.
I thought to myself, I was talking to somebody this week, and I thought to myself, if a company like Tag was prepared, and said, hey, $15 or $16 grading, 25 days return and all that, like all of a sudden just put out this massive deal, with the people who were jumping ship on PSA going to BGS that inundated BGS, right? They said, look, we're way behind now. And I think people like myself and other people talking about them, it was almost becoming a hack, right? You got a card that if you sent to PSA, you were either going to pay a big upcharge on it, right? And probably if you're looking at it, it may not gem, or you could send it off to BGS, right? Get a 9.5 on it, get it back super quick, super cheap, and put it out to market and get it out there and try to move the card. So I mean, right now, hopefully, I have a whole bunch of cards there. I'm hoping that still works, right?
Sure.
That whole thing's working. But wouldn't it be great if another company just stepped in and said, "Hey, look at us now! Like take the deal and let's see what happens, right? Because getting your cards back fast is really half the battle."
Totally. Yeah, I think you and I are aligned on that. Tag you brought up, Tag would be my go-to as what I think could be the next version. What this does do is it consolidates the two kind of go-to value players. I think it opens a door for a company like Tag. Maybe not CGC just because it's so focused on TCG, but I think Tag, because it's AI driven and more transparent, could have a real shot if they market well. And if we could, I'd get behind it for sure if I knew I wasn't going to get murdered on pricing, right?
Yeah.
We're all kind of, I think all of us that are in the hobby as a business, we're kind of stuck with what we have with PSA right now still. And I'd love to figure out how to help a company like Tag be competitive, be great. I might try it out. I don't mind sending maybe some, I don't know. You have to pick the right cards. I don't think the lower end ones won't work because you're just going to end up getting murdered on the value. The higher end stuff, you don't want to take that risk. Maybe some mid tier stuff, you take a shot on Tag, and see what happens. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see at the national this year what that does.
Yeah. And I mean, you're just like I am. You pull a big card. I know you just got hit a big card, and you could talk about it if you want, but you just hit a big card and right in your mind immediately, what are you thinking? What am I doing with that card? You're
Yep.
not thinking tag, you're not thinking BGS. You're like PSA. It's got
How
to be.
fast can I pay PSA to get it back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was a Caitlin Auto, second year Caitlin
Yep.
Auto. Yeah.
Yep. To 10, gold to 10. Yep. Super
Yeah.
excited. So
Yeah.
I've hit the 5, the to 5, and the to 10 of the same card so far
Yeah.
in Domino's. Pretty cool.
So in the chat, Bill, what's up? What's happening, guys? Bill, hello. Kamikaze Sports Cards. What's up, fellas? And he also said, did you see the new grading / authenticator company Jeremy Lee just interviewed? I did not. I know Jeremy did a lot of work with Tag, so I'm not sure if that's the same company we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, you have to wonder what's going to happen with your cards right now, that are out there, especially to BGS. I think I have almost 100 cards out to BGS. So I'm hoping that, nothing delays getting all those cards back. No, not tag. So I'm not sure. I know Jeremy does a Saturday night show. Usually I'll catch up on his during the week. So I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, I hope that I don't think you're going to have any issues, to be honest, with BGS short term. I think they're going to leave that. With SGC, it took a year to 2, right, before it really just exploded. But I would say, unless it's vintage, you probably want to move most of those cards in the appropriate time the next 12 months if they're cards that aren't sitting in your PC, right?
Yeah.
Because you just don't. I wouldn't want to take the risk that BGS long term isn't going to have the same fate as SGC. BGS has a better pedigree, but I don't know. It just feels a little bit risky to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even up to a few years ago, right, with BGS, every year at the National, people were walking in with big cards that were doing, the 1 day or 2 day grading to get that card back immediately to try to sell it there, at the National. So it's only been, I mean, they've only been down and looked poorly upon, in the most recent year or so, right? But then now I almost felt like they were starting to gain their footing again when all this came around. So
yeah,
and maybe too, it's like trying to get a date for the prom, right?
Yep.
you want to say, hey, look at us, look how good we're doing, and we're for sale.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, look, it's just another example of private equity getting involved in the hobby, right?
Yeah.
And so it was bought by private equity and traded out. I mean, it wasn't a year that they traded it out. We're going to see that stuff, and it's something to pay attention to in the hobby. The more large dollars, the more private equity gets involved, the more things will change. It doesn't make it bad, but it's going to change it. I mean, you look at the investment that's been made in Fanatics and how that's impacting the hobby tremendously, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have large investors paying 6 and 7 figures for cards now. That's just, we got to pay attention to that stuff. It makes the hobby more interesting, and I think overall it's going to continue to spur the growth. We just got to pay attention to it.
Yeah, and it's bringing a lot of big money in, a lot of big money in, and not just collector money, right? And investor money. Yeah, yeah,
totally.
Which is a big deal. Yeah.
So I looked at JLG, by the way, Jerry Lee's stuff. He has his own grading company, and maybe that's what he was talking about.
Who has their own grading company?
JLG, Jerry Lee Grading.
Oh, Jerry Lee Grading.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if that's Jeremy Lee.
That's what I meant, Jeremy Lee. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I said it wrong.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yep.
There's been a lot of people who started their own grading companies. That's for sure, right? They didn't really hang around too long.
Yep.
So we know the WNBA is contract doing this contract negotiation for their new season.
Yep.
Not going well. They've given the players have been given the approval to strike if they wanted to. Um, thoughts on that, just quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it behooves both sides to get a deal done. But if they don't, I think in terms of the hobby, we've got a lot of history from the other sports to look at, and we've been through this. We've seen this movie before, right?
Yep.
So, while I think it will affect the hobby short term, it does create opportunity for us to buy some longer term stuff at a better price. Maybe some of the casual people might pull away. I hope that they don't let it get that far for the hobby's sake and for the league's sake, um, because there's just so much great momentum right now,
Yeah.
and they both sides would be foolish to kill the momentum that's happening, and that their egos get too out of control. That's my opinion. My opinion is we know we have a playbook. We can go back and look at what happened in the hobby when there was, baseball strike, football strike, whatever. Um, but let's just hope for the WNBA. I think they'll get the negotiations done because it's just too advantageous for both sides and too detrimental not to.
Yeah, I would think they finally became profitable and they've gained momentum. Why would you want to put the brakes on now? I mean,
Yep.
I'm sure it's just a lot of show right now that we're seeing because
Mhm.
it's off season right now, right? And
Yep.
I would have to imagine that both sides want this,
Yep.
to work out. The women want to get paid more, right? And the the owners want to keep some money in their pocket too. I mean, I understand that. So
Yep.
um any thoughts with Unrivaled? Do you think that if the WNBA stumbled, do you think Unrivaled could come in and make any dent or waves, or you think that's just
I don't think it can scale. I mean, it doesn't have the cash behind it, right? Um, I don't think I think it's a great sidebar kind of add on, gives good exposure, super fun to watch. Um, I think it's going to have to coexist, similar like the big three, like, they did with the NBA. I think Unrivaled's run better. I think the players know what they're doing, so they're running it better, but I just don't think there's scale there. I mean, they would have to get huge investment behind them and scale it up to 5-on-5 like overnight.
yeah.
Um, I think it's going to have a place. I think it's a good place for the women to get paid better,
Mm,
to add to their um, NIL type money, and as well as maybe Unrivaled gets profitable where they make pretty good paychecks from it.
mm,
And maybe it allows them to push negotiations with the W. But it doesn't. I just don't think it can scale. It's not built for scale. It's
mm.
small. It's not super well capitalized. It's in one market, right? Um, yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. A lot of the top players, anyways, I would even say mid-level and up players are coming to the WNBA with a ton of NIL money in their bank account,
Yep.
right? So it's not like it used to be like, you couldn't make any money and you're showing up and you're happy to get that 76,000 or $73,000.
Right.
It's like, wow, this is unbelievable what I'm making. But now these women are coming in with millions of dollars in their bank account. And they're like, you want to pay
Yep.
me what?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah. And I guess the league's whole contention is, well, yeah, but you wouldn't get all that if we didn't give you the platform, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
it's
I guess it's the chicken and the egg, right?
it is. It is. So I think we have to want both to win, right? For the sport to be healthy,
Yeah.
we have to want the owners to make money because that brings more investment, right?
Mm,
More scale. But we have to want the players to win. One, because I think it's right. Two, you know, they that's also healthy, right? And so, but you look at, I mean, shoe deals, and I say that picture of those Juju Watkins shoes, right?
Yep.
There's all these NIL deals out there, like you were talking about. If there was a way to figure out how to put that all together and make it work, because there's seemingly more money outside of the W for them than there is in the league.
Yeah, yeah, a ton more money outside of there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, ways to make money.
Yep. Yeah, and I feel like some of those, you know, are ways that are completely separate and aside from the WNBA, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and we're gonna lose our our Connecticut Sun here from
Yeah. I
looks
was
like they
wondering if you're going to bring that up.
yeah, looks like they're probably gonna go to Houston, right?
Yeah.
But and it's sad because, you know, and I know they've talked about, oh, you know, the WNBA is not profitable, but you know, they kept them there at Mohegan and it was, you know, I'm not saying they sold out every game, but there was a really big following coming there.
Yep.
And then over you know, you know, with Caitlin Clark coming into the league and all the other rookies that came into the league that same year, a
Yep.
lot of people buying tickets. They wanted to see it. It reminded me of the Whalers. Right. When
Yep.
we had the Whalers here in Connecticut, we all had tickets for the Whalers, but we were all, you know, Canadians fans and Pittsburgh fans and
Yep.
Kings fans, right? So we
Yep.
all wanted to go and see, you know, because it was a time to get to see in
Yep.
person, you know, your team play. And then after they left, we were all broken-hearted Whalers fans, right?
Right. Right. Yep.
We learned to love them, and by the time we learned to love them, they left.
We
Right?
have the same experience here with the Tampa Bay Rays. You know, when you go to a Rays game, 50% or more of the fan base or of the fans in the stands are not Rays fans, right? But
Yeah.
we all live here, and we are in danger of that same thing. It's funny how that works. And I'm sure if they left, everybody would be like, "Oh no, we
Yeah,
lost the
yeah,
Rays," right?
yeah. Love the and everybody be wearing the merch.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Even
It's now
today,
vintage.
even today, more people wear Hartford Whalers merch today than they ever did when they were here in Connecticut
Oh
playing.
yeah, because now it's like a status, right? It's like vintage.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
So it's like this is my town kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I know you do a lot with the WNBA cards. What other sports do you collect?
Well, I mean, I love football. I love college football. I have a pretty big collection of Georgia football cards. But I'm a basketball guy through and through. So, you know, with my sons playing and competing, you know, my oldest that played basketball is now 24. So, you know, and we're in Florida, so Montverde's not far. So I got to watch Cooper in high school. So a lot of the guys that are in the league now either played with my kids or against them, or I have friends that they played with, and so I just love basketball,
Yeah,
college basketball, NBA. I love watching the kids that I've been around going up through the ranks and playing in the NBA.
yeah,
Riley Minnick's local kid from here that plays for the Spurs now, two-way contract last year. You know, guys like that. So yeah, I have a big Cooper flag collection, but um, pretty much Georgia football and men's and women's basketball is my thing. I
yeah,
mean, I have a bunch of football otherwise. I collect all the Georgia guys pro cards too, and we do a lot of trading. We do a lot of buying and selling of football, just like you do.
yeah.
But it's not. I'm not as passionate about that as I am about basketball.
It's funny. I was always a football fan, but I felt like it was in back in like the 2000s or you know early 2000s. I just felt like, you know, I was a Chiefs fan. We were never winning, and you know, then the Patriots came, and being here, it's like, okay, there's a local team winning, but I almost felt like, you know, the passion for the sport and what I was doing was kind of slipping away. And then I discovered fantasy football,
Yeah,
right, and that brought me back in so much deeper to that
totally.
sport, you
Yeah,
know, to know the players and the positions and just
stats,
everything.
follow it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, even the players coming up from college, you know, that are being drafted and who to watch
yeah,
and then who to listen to and what to read because back then there wasn't all these podcasts and stuff like that. You had to go
right.
just like the Beckett magazine, you had to go by the fantasy. I forget
Yes.
who it was, what the name of it was, but every year it was the same one. You know, it was like
Yep.
300 pages or what every player and every team and the
Yeah.
outlook and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you didn't have all the rankings. You know, it wasn't all set up for you. But to me, that's when it took a lot more skill and
Yeah.
you got rewarded for that, right? Versus now, half the teams are on auto draft and you go do a fantasy draft, right? So I I miss the days where you had to do a little bit more work, especially for fantasy football.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. It does keep you engaged. I think, as much as this might be a little bit controversial, I think betting on sports does the same, right? Like when you're betting on games or players or parlays or whatever, you're paying a lot more attention
Yep.
than if you didn't have any skin in the game or weren't thinking about it. I don't do a lot of that. I'm very, very little, but I know that, other people that I know when they're betting, that means they're all in watching every game, looking at every stat, figuring out what's going on all the time.
Yep.
So yeah, it makes it fun.
And even the gambling part about is a it's a whole other thing. I mean,
Totally.
even though you would think if you know all this and you would think all the knowledge I have that I would be like, I could go on like a DraftKings or a FanDuel and I would do very well. But I'll tell you what, there's some nights I'm sitting here watching a game and I'll have a listener or somebody I know will be messaging me back, and about something in the game or about a player. And then they'll be like, oh, I just put an anytime touchdown in for this player. I'm like, who is that? I don't even know who that player is on the field. And then like 5 minutes later, this player goes and they're like, oh, that's his first touchdown of the year. And I'm like, oh my God, like this, like that's insane, right? I'm
Yeah,
thinking to myself, that's a whole other level of knowing the players and yeah, just
yeah, totally.
deep
Know what the
diving.
matchups are, who the defender is going to be, what their QB is going to be facing, all that stuff, right? It's a yeah, but also looking at that level is going to make you better at fantasy. I mean, not that you're going to have as much choice, right?
Yeah.
It's less optionality. You kind of have to pick your guy and run with them, right? But
Yeah.
that's one of the things I like about fantasy baseball is you can really dig in and look at pitching matchups for your hitters, pitching matchups for your pitchers or batting matchups. There's so much more data you can dig into if you really want to go all in on fantasy. Fantasy football is kind of set it and forget it once a week kind of thing. Whereas baseball, you're in it every day. Basketball, even to some degree, you're in it 3 or 4 days a week, right? So I do fantasy basketball. I enjoy that a lot too. It's
Yeah,
fun.
I accidentally got into a fantasy basketball like 2 years ago. It was in a Yahoo thing. I was dropping my phone, I caught it, and it was like, "Oh, you're drafting in a few minutes." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So I let it auto draft. But because of my standings in Yahoo, every week I went through and I just took the recommendations of
Yep.
the and then I figured out at some point that there was only me and one other person actually changing
Paying
their
attention,
rosters and
right?
picking up and dropping people. So it really came down to a head to head at the end. And
Sure.
I actually won. Don't ask me
Nice.
how. My auto draft must have been better than his,
You
regular
won the
draft.
free basketball auto draft league, huh? That's funny. Have you thought about doing like your fantasy draft live on the podcast?
Yes, we have. We thought about doing that last year, and I'll tell you what. And if you know anything about fantasy, and you're the perfect example, you just talked about that. You're on your birthday weekend. You're in an island somewhere. You're out to dinner, and you said your wife bumped you. She was probably smacking you for being on your phone, right?
Yeah,
Um, but it's trying to get everybody together to to
yeah,
to to just never mind going live, just getting everybody together at one time to agree on
sure.
a time and a day to do the draft, right?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking you just do your side of it live on the monitor, right? Have a commentary, have some discussion, whatever,
Yeah.
but show what's going on and let people give input and make fun of you when they think you made the bad pick or whatever, right?
I can't tell you though. I was going to talk about this before. Over the years of playing, a lot of these they give you this percentages like Yahoo, and I know Sleeper does it now too. It gives you a percentage of how well you did starting your players.
Yep.
Right. And it would say you were 100, like 100% or 90% or whatever, like how well you selected your players week after week, all
Yep.
season long. And I
Yep.
used to look at that all the time against other players, and they'd be in like the 12 percentile or the 15 or the 20. Like it'd be so low, and you could tell. Now I get into a league and people are higher than I am. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'll say, oh, they'll be like, oh yeah, I just started doing this a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, like, I always say you must be paying somebody to do your roster or something, right? Because
Yeah.
it gets into, the competition over the last few years has gone from here to way up here. It's like it becomes more and more difficult to win a league if you're in there with people who are really into it, right?
Yep.
If you're in a 12 team and you got 12 guys that are chatting it up, everybody's involved and everybody's into it, and it's tough to win those leagues.
Yeah, 100%. And that's when it's fun, right? It's not fun if you got 4 people at the end of the season, everybody else gave up,
Yeah.
and that's why people put money on it, right? Keep everybody engaged. But yeah, totally agree.
Oh, yeah, that's why we put money on it. We want to keep them engaged.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's up, E Young 88? How you doing, man? Appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah.
Saw he jumped in and said, hey guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Kamikaze said the grading was authority grading. I will have
Already
to.
grading. We'll have to research it and circle
Yeah.
back on that.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
So short term, long term. So your basketball is your thing, right?
Yep.
You can even talk football, whatever sport you want. But do you have any short term, long term holds of players? From doesn't matter what sport. And I always like to talk about this because we're right at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that a little more, like looking forward to the new year. I'm big on finishing strong and being prepared for the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say I'm moving as much as I can of all the rookie stuff. Like I think we probably all naturally do. But I believe, so we'll take a non-women's player. I'm stashing any numbered and any autoed Cooper Flag stuff for a little bit longer. I picked up some numbered stuff from his Chrome that just released. I just think he's got upside. You're finally seeing him come out of his shell. Scored 40 last week. So Cooper is, to me, a rookie I'm willing to take a chance on and hold on to long term. And I think on the women's side, I just don't think some of the stuff you're just not going to miss right now. Paige Beckers, definitely not going to miss. I was doing some research, and I meant to send it to you on what the women's basketball market is like. I mean, it's up like 800% over the past 18 months. I mean, you're just not going to miss. Short-term holds for me right now, Hannah Hidalgo for sure, Michaela Blake's. I just think right now, women's game wise, the big players are just going to be solid, and we're just going to keep going. We're going to see Unrivaled going to drive that pricing, and we're going to see the draft, then the season. I'm a big believer in Dominique Malonga. I think she's going to be someone we should all be grabbing right now and holding on to. I think she's an MVP type potential 3 to 4 years from now.
Yep.
So she's definitely a longer term hold. I ranked all these top 10 both. I'll send you my list and the research that I did on it. It's all data driven.
Yeah.
Based on what's going on in the market. So I think Flage is probably a short term hold for me. Probably going to sell her at the draft. Been putting some stuff away. Yeah, that'd be my answer to that question.
Any of those senior players? Yeah, it's tough because we've talked about this, that I'm so invested in so many players that are sophomores.
Yep.
Right, with all these first Bowman things, and I'm like, oh, I got to wait 2 years for this stuff to mature. But it was nice being in early on Juju and Hannah, and I think even Hannah's only a junior, right? She has another year to go.
Yeah. This year's senior class for the draft is going to be light. It's going to be light. It's not going to be like last year and the year before.
Yep.
By the way, speaking of that, something that came in today. See that?
My Go Blue card.
Your Go Blue card.
Showed
up today or yesterday, but I got it today when I got home. So
I absolutely love those inscriptions. I have a thing on the wall here with inscriptions on it. I've just got an order back from PSA with a couple of inscriptions. I have probably like 15 of those at BGS. absolutely love these
Yeah,
inscriptions on these
so fun.
cards.
I
Yeah,
agree. Totally.
yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah.
Totally agree. So fun. I
Uh,
picked up one today too. Maybe I'll ship it up to you. Where is it? This one. I know you've been picking her up too. It's to 35. Can you see it?
oh, Raven Johnson.
Little Raven inscription. It
What does
says
it say?
second team All SEC on the inscription.
Nice. Hold on.
So yeah, I've been grabbing those. I think Raven's the potential decent grab right now, especially the low numbered stuff. Now we're going into brag session, huh? Ken's gonna out.
No, no, because I just got a Raven back. I just wanted to see which one it was. So yeah, I have the Go Gamecocks.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Yep.
I have that one too, actually. Yep.
Yep. Just came back.
Yeah, this one was from retail though, I think, which has made it interesting because I think that's a 35s. It was either Breaker's Delight. No, Breaker's Delight was what you just showed. So this was retail. Retail blue to 35.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't buy as much retail. I bought mostly hobby. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any retail, but I buy a lot of these cards too, already pulled somewhere to you.
Oh, I did too. I mean, this is a stack, just the college from today. This one, actually 2 stacks. These are both colleges from today. I'm not sure.
What do you think of this girl?
Oh, don't do it to me. You're killing me. Yes. I think Audi has totally a huge amount of upside right now.
Yeah.
I think when she gets to the W, I think it's going to be really interesting because she has such a cool fan base.
Yep.
I'm loading the boats on. I mean, I've been buying her for 6 months. Every card I can get my hands on. I got a bunch of her stuff to 10 and to 25.
I went to the Vescu, whatever it is, QQQ.
Yeah.
It was a tournament at Mohegan Sun last year, and it was she was there in that game, and I went because Flau'jae Johnson was there, right? So I wanted to get her autograph, and knew nothing about Audi, knew nothing about the team. And then I saw them warming up, and I was right by there, and I'm watching them play. And then the game started, and nobody could touch this girl. I mean, she just was under the basket doing whatever she wanted. And when I left that game, I took notes on that, and I started. So last year during the when the Bowman U Chrome came out, and then the Sapphire and the Bowman Best and all that, it was like people wanted the Sarah Strong and Juju Watkins, and there was a lot of people that were, Audie Crooks was one of them. Nobody was taking her cards. I'm like, all right, I'll take that spot. I'll take the Michigan spot. I'll take, so.
Yeah. What's interesting is that, we were on Whatnot then, and people wanted Audi because, Whatnot's cool because it gives you like live data, right? And when those hit, even though we weren't breaking, we were selling singles, and Audi was asked for every single show. Like people wanted Audi, like no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's on like your Whatnot shows. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So regulators just chimed in and said the only one that sells consistently is Caitlin. I think it depends, regulators, on where you're selling, my friend, because I can tell you that a lot of those players, I can give you a list of 30 players that sell extremely consistently for us. So just to, if you're going to a live show in a non-women's basketball type of area of the country, maybe that's true. But selling online, there's a lot of consistency around a lot of players in women's basketball. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think it's probably the most exciting sport to be in from a collector perspective. I mean, you can make an argument maybe for soccer right now because of all the hype around the World Cup. But, I mean, the growth in women's basketball is unprecedented and anything else in the hobby, as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm. And really, anyone not named Caitlin or Paige, right, is very affordable.
Yep.
Right, is very affordable. So from a dealer point of view, for someone like me who sets up and I put these cards in my case, and I see parents come with young kids, that are looking for, girls who play basketball, they want to come buy cards. It's easy for the parents to show up and say, oh, okay, I'm going to buy a few of these because they're affordable. It's not coming in, and they'll always walk up and they'll be like, oh, Caitlin, how much is she? Oh my God, she really costs that much, right? Or Paige. But then when you get into some of the other, anybody else after that, I mean, they're just affordable. People are like, yeah, we'll go ahead and take that one,
Sure.
So it's and that to me, you're building collectors now, right?
Yep.
These kids are becoming collectors.
Yep. And that's what the hobby's about, right? Without the collector base, I mean, yes, we have the investors coming in on the that are going to be only on the mega stars, right? But the hobby doesn't exist and give us the opportunity to do what we love without collectors like us. I mean, we both have personal collections, and people like you like I collect Asa Newell. I bet you there's not a whole lot of people out there that collect Asa Newell. Well, why do I collect him? I watched him in high school. He played for Georgia, and he's number 14, which was mine and all my kids' basketball number. So I have 3 Asa Newell jerseys on my man cave wall. You think anybody else, especially in Florida, has got no? But we're collectors. We love we have our reasons for who we love, and definitely women's basketball. That is the majority of people that we have in our WNBA community. I mean, we have a real awesome community, a truly awesome community that is mostly fans. I mean, it's, you know, Caitlin brought, of course, a lot of flipping only kind of people into the hobby, which is great. We need to do that. But I think you and I both have, but we do both, right? We have our stuff that we collect, that we love, and then we're in it to buy and sell as well, and to make money and keep greasing the wheels. So
I think all the numbered stuff, and I've said this for a while now, anything numbered on the Caitlin is a hold for me. That would be my more long-term hold. I don't mind all these 10s that come back. I don't mind selling them, you know, when the market is good, but anything that's numbered, I'd rather hold on to for a while.
Agree. Yeah. I mean, even that auto that I just got, I'm probably just going to keep that. When I sold the other one, but I'll probably just keep the 1 to 10 and just put it away. Right.
Yeah.
It's, you know, there's some value with some of that stuff. That, like you said, I mean, it's just, eventually it's not going to be around anymore. Right now it's much more common, but you know, you're not going to see a lot of it. So,
yeah. So look, you started, when did you start your whatnot?
So officially, I think the last week of January, this year. So we're coming up on a year.
Just coming up on a year.
Yeah.
So if we're just going to dive in a little bit to what your first year looked like, and just talk a little bit about what need you saw, or what you felt like it was, you know, that was the time, and you had the right product to go in and do it, and you know, just talk about what worked, what didn't work, some lessons learned, changes you wanted to make.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, you know, for those that are listening that aren't really familiar, we started Collect for Good really 2 reasons. I wanted to help my son start a business that he could grow long term. And I also wanted to do something good in the world and support a local charity here that's goal is to end homelessness. So my portion of profitability out of the company goes to that. And then so that was where we started the foundation. And then it was like, how do we do this in the hobby? Because we both love the hobby. We both had been collecting for, you know, me for, you know, 30 years, more than that now, it's a shame to say. And so we started with football breaks, and, you know, it was the hot rookie class, you know, Jaden Daniels and Drake and Caleb Williams. I mean, that was just the most ridiculous rookie class we might ever see, right? From a collector perspective. I mean, it was crazy. And so, you know, we jumped in, and we learned a lot. We learned a whole bunch about how Whatnot works. And I would say there's some serious lessons. I'd recommend anybody who wants to sell cards try it on Whatnot. It's fun, and it's a great way to get instant cash, because once you're a level of seller that proven themselves, you get paid in 24 hours. I mean, it's almost like selling in person. So lessons learned with that would be, know your market really, 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 really well. Don't jump in there and think because you watched a bunch of other breakers or a bunch of other sellers on Whatnot. Don't jump in and think you're going to get 50 people in your first show and you can start everything at $1 and you're going to get paid. I think the biggest mistake people make when they try to sell on there, and honestly, like, you know, one of the things to do that what I've done is I've tried to go on new sellers shows and say, hey, don't do that. Hey, you're going to be here very long. Because when you you got 5 people in the room and you're starting things at $1 and you're selling a 30 or $50 card for $7, that doesn't last very long,
Yeah.
and does nothing but crush that person's hopes and drain them of money. Or they just, give up and don't want anything to do with Whatnot. They think Whatnot's terrible. Whatnot's not terrible. You just got to know exactly how to be smart. And so we have a great following. We have a great community. We can start a show now with no marketing and have 35 people in it in minutes.
How long did it take you to kind of build up to that?
Probably took us 6 months of being consistent. Again, we started as we doing breaks. We were unable, once Optic came out for Optic football last year, all the bots bought all the product retail. So once we ran out of what we could buy for hobby, all the retail product, we just couldn't buy it anymore because all the giant breakers bots bought literally everything that hit Walmart, Target, any of the retail hubs. So we had to pivot. In the meantime, we were always doing basketball. I was collecting men's and women's basketball prior to that, and so we decided to try that when Bowman U came out, and that was really where we started. And we weren't doing breaks with Bowman U; we were doing singles. So we were ripping cases, we were grading, some of the case hits, grading some Cooper Flag and some Juju, some Sonia, and then selling singles. And that's how we learned the women's market really, really well, because that's really where our journey into women's basketball as our primary revenue source came from, was Bowman U last year, realizing how strong the market was. And so we dove in with both feet, and we've been doing women's basketball as our primary since.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was really based on your following, like the people you brought in. Was that kind of what they were looking for? I guess the question I'm asking is, did you pivot to that because that's what the people wanted, or you felt like there was a need for it, and then your followers came?
Yeah, there was a need, right? So there was not a lot of WNBA sellers at that time. Mm-hmm. Not nearly like it is now. I would say in the past 90 days, the number of sellers on Whatnot of women's basketball is more than 10x in 90 days, maybe even more than that. And that's anecdotal, right? Data wise, I looked today, it's up 800%. So over the past year. So, but as far as building the following, I think it's get into your niche, where you're focused, what you're going to deliver to the community. That could be general breaking. If you're going to be a breaker, you better have a wholesale account, and you better have huge volume you can buy, because popping in and out once a week to be a breaker doesn't work. And being consistent, engaging with your community, engaging with them on Whatnot, engaging with them outside of Whatnot on social media, etc. It's about building a community, in my opinion. If you want to be consistent long-term in what you do on Whatnot. And I think Whatnot's phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal way for the hobby, phenomenal way to get real-time data of what's going on in the world. But it's almost like we were talking about fantasy, Ken, where if you know what's happening in the sports world, Whatnot reacts immediately to that. Mm-hmm. So, example, last year when Sophie defended Caitlin and had that whole thing with the Suns, right? Instantly on Whatnot, within 12 hours, Sophie Cunningham's cards 10x. A base card would sell for $12 instantly. Yeah. Whereas prior to that, nobody even asked for Sophie. Of course, she had a following because of her social media presence. But after that happened and she got all that exposure, instantly. So it happens in every single sport. Whoever the hot person is, no matter what sport it is, Whatnot is instant feedback, which is super interesting. Versus eBay takes a few weeks. At live shows, I have no idea what that is. That's definitely your arena. But it's been super interesting to see. And so we tend to dive in and follow what's going on in all the sports that we're engaged in. Mm-hmm. And give the people what they want.
Yeah. I think the bigger show is it becomes more immediate. I think maybe not as immediate as whatnot, because at any moment, if you want to, if I want to buy anything, I could just fire up my phone and just be on there, and I could be in a break, or I could be where before that, I'd have to wait for a break, the Facebook guys to fill a break. Everybody's got to get the thing, get your payments in, you wait for that to happen. And then, oh yeah, I'm raking it tonight at 8 o'clock, that type of thing, where now you want to do it as instant, right? You just
Yep.
pull up on the
Totally.
phone, or you go in, so your community's huge,
Huge.
to build them. And I fall back on that community thing a couple times, because I've had a handful of people that said, oh, I'm going to do whatnot. I got to get my first 1,000 sales. I got to do this. I got to do that. And they do all that. And then they seem to just to fall off. They're like, nah, and I think what happens is if you don't build that community, if you don't get those people in your rooms, no matter how knowledgeable you are and how much you know about everything, if you can't get those people in your rooms, then like you said, it's you may have a $50 card that's only gonna, you don't want to put it up there, because you're not going to get the bids for it if you've only got 5 or 6 people in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. And the algorithm's set up from Whatnot to reward you for volume sales, right? Because that's how they make money, right? Because the fee structure is 12.9% basically. Plus, they charge 35, or depending on it's basically 35 cents a card, or 35 cents an auction, right? So, they want you to spin at high volume. So you can go on Whatnot and say, all right, I have a $50 card. I'm going to sell $50. I'm going to put it in my shop, and then I'm going to get on there and I'm going to try to sell it. You end up with 2 or 3 people in your room, unless you pay to get people in the room. And even then, they're not going to stay. Whatnot, one of the biggest lessons, if anybody's looking to sell on there, you got to set your expectations right. And that is, you fill the room by doing giveaways and by fast pacing your auctions. Like today, when we did our singles auction, I had 2025 Prism singles to sell. I did 5-second sudden death auctions. And the algorithm from Whatnot drove people to that room like no other. The more auctions and the more engagement you have in the room, that's what drives the algorithm. So I see 2 things new sellers do. One, they get on and think they're just going to start everything at $1 because they watched a guy that they probably don't even know, that's probably got a following of 15,000 or more, sell at $1, and they start at $1 and they sell a $20 card for $35, right? That only happens occasionally, and when you've built this great following, right, of a community. That's the first thing. The other thing is they're like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get on and I'm going to sell my $10 card for $10 and my $100 card for $100. And they're like, I can't get anybody in the room. There's 2 people, me and 1 person, because the algorithm's not set up to do that. So I would just say, for anybody who's new to starting, I'm happy to help. Hit me up, on any of the socials or on the Whatnot platform. I'm happy to give you some advice and help you keep you from mistakes that we made, because we made a lot and it costs a lot of money. Mistakes on Whatnot are expensive. But yeah, that's the 2 things, right? So be prepared to sell some stuff. You can drive people to the room. Be prepared, do giveaways. You got to do giveaways all the time. It also drives the algorithm.
Yeah. And you see a lot of the same repeat people, right, coming back in show after show after show.
Yeah, and look, with women's basketball, it's a community on there, and so you're going to see the same people in a lot of rooms, and so you'll go in and you'll become friends, right? You and I, that's how we met, right? That's how we're here right now, right?
We were both in somebody else's room,
right? Correct. So yeah. So it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. So we have something planned coming up. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ken and I are going to join forces. And we're going to try something and Whatnot that I have not seen, definitely in the women's basketball space. But we're going to run a show similar to this, where we're going to chit chat a lot. We're going to talk women's basketball, but we're going to sell cards that start at about $100 and go up. And we're doing that. It's January 17th? I don't have my calendar from me. Is that what it is?
Yep, 17th.
On the Collect for Good Whatnot channel. Ken and I will both be on there, just like we are tonight. Like you can see us if you're on YouTube. But we'll be selling our bigger cards. So if you guys want some bigger women's basketball cards, feel free to jump on. It'll be like our own little private showcase, and super excited about that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do that once a month. We're gonna try out high end on Whatnot and see what happens. And that will be a show where we'll start, likely start some cards a little bit lower than where they're, would sell on eBay or whatever.
Yep.
But let you guys tell us what the pricing should be. But generally, that's Whatnot doesn't run that way most of the time. It's either you're on these crazy streamers that are screaming and yelling, and people are hyped, and you don't know if it's a shill bid or a real bid or what's going on. But when we run higher end cards, typically you don't see a lot of that. So we're gonna give it a shot, see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
It's you know what? You never know if something's going to work, right? If you start following what everybody else is doing, right? Then your expectations can only be as good as what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Start something new, right?
Yep.
Sky's the limit. So yeah, I'm
no other streamer that I watch has a co-host either, right? And so we're gonna try that. We're kind of doing two things there. We're doing the co-host, so we can have a discussion, we can talk basketball and sell some really cool stuff. And so, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Excited.
So what are your plans? Looking ahead to 2026, it shows you have planned being in this last year, starting in January, right? As you look into next year, you say, these are the things I got to do, I want to do. These are the things maybe I don't want to do.
Yeah. A lot more focus, right? So we're going to really focus on women's basketball. We'll probably have a secondary focus of men's basketball. And that focus is going to carry us. We're going to start doing some more. We're only going to do larger shows in person. So I'll go to the local shows, see what I can pick up. But I pretty much feel like I've exhausted. Everybody generally in Central Florida knows that I'm the WNBA guy. And so I do get a lot of messages. First time, this is interesting. I was in that show at Fort Myers. A guy came up to me and said, "You're the Collect for Good streamer, right?" And I didn't know him. I didn't have any Collect for Good gear on. I was dressed in a golf shirt, right? Because I was trying to act like I'm actually a dad at my son's basketball game and not be dressed in my Fever T-shirt or whatever. And so that was a cool thing that happened. But we're going to start setting up at some of those larger shows just for women's basketball, similar to what you do in the Northeast. I know you're going to the National, so super exciting that you're going to be there. Obviously, we'll be there with you, hanging out and catching up in person. But I'm going to try to do the Dallas card show, the Nashville card show, try to do one big show a quarter that we can try to set up at. And then everything else, we're going to really focus on building our social media presence and working with people, building the community, and try to support the community more. Not just do more volume of cards, which we will certainly do. We've launched Slabby Thursdays now. So our Whatnot show on Thursday nights will be all slabs. We're going to really focus on WNBA and women's college basketball and try to be the go-to on Whatnot and online in general, hopefully, for those sales. And of course, we're doing it all because we want to give back to charity and make a difference.
Yeah. Do you find the men's basketball does as well? The men's college basketball?
It does
not named Cooper Flag.
Right. Well, so the only time I find that does really well is headed towards March Madness. Aside from, and I think we can do a better job of building a collector base. That's the other thing. We started a database where we can really track buyers of certain cards for teams, because I think there's Arkansas fans that are going to buy all the Arkansas cards. There's UConn fans that are going to buy all the UConn cards, or Michigan especially, or whatever.
Yep.
And we haven't done a good job of seeking those folks out and helping them build their collection. We need to build out our Facebook presence a little bit better to do that, I think. But to answer your question, February and March, the men's basketball guys, the buyers for those teams are out in droves, and we can get on Whatnot and do a men's show. Outside of that time frame, it's abysmal. I mean, there's not a lot of market there.
Yeah, I know. I've been ripping cases and hobby boxes of the Bowman Chrome U, and of course it's mostly men in there. So like
Yep.
boxes and boxes of autographed and numbered and
Oh yeah.
refractors. And,
Yep.
you're like hoping, and there's only going to be like 4 or 5 guys in all those cards in that box that people are really going to want. So you're
Yep.
hoping you're inundated with those guys when the time comes, like the Cooper flags were allowed. I'm still getting Cooper flag. I just got 3 or 4 Cooper flag PSA 10s back from PSA. Yeah.
I got these two. There's a Cooper and a Dylan Harper I got back Saturday
Oh, nice.
on
Nice.
cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, same. But I think you and I will probably end up doing our March show, right? At together for all that stuff, and it'll end up being mostly men's, right?
Yeah.
We both have 5-row boxes full of men's college autographs that we need to get to a proper home where the fans, for the fans.
Yeah. For that 6 weeks out of the year that they want to buy them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Did you do any of the big shows last year? Did you do Nashville or
attended? Yes. Set up? No.
Yeah.
So I did Nashville. I did the Dallas Card Show. I did Dallas Card Show in Chicago. Obviously the national.
And it was just all walking, not setting up, just walking.
Correct. Not setting up.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting to see your feedback. I mean, you've been a dealer at the National before. Last year, my experience at the National without being a dealer was phenomenal because of setting up in the VIP room.
Yeah.
And so I feel like even if you can't get a table, you can take 2 suitcases of cards that you want to move through, and you'll sell them all in that room, no problem.
Yeah. Or you could just come to my table.
Well, I mean, I'm planning on hanging out with you for sure, but I'm just saying to the general audience, like if you want to go to the National and move some cards, you can do it.
Yeah. And my guy Bill and Billy Sports Cards, he did the same thing last year. He's like, I don't even want a table.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd rather just sit up in the VIP room and just lay my cards out. Every day we'd be walking around the show. I'd be texting me like, "Where are you?" And it's like, "I'm up in the VIP room."
Yeah, totally.
It's like I got my own show going on up here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jane just asked, "Is the VIP at the National worth it?" 100%. I mean, early access. It doesn't have to be VIP. The early access pass, 100% worth it. Well, I guess you have to have the VIP to be in the VIP room. So yes.
Yeah, it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, if you even look at the line outside of the get in the morning,
1,000,000%.
You just pass by that line and get in. You get to go up to the VIP room, and there's nothing in there but tables, right? Tables and chairs. I mean, there's nothing special in that room but table and chairs. But it's really nice if you're walking around there and you get tired.
Yep.
And you say, "Look, I want to sit down." And this is what I figured this out in Cleveland the year before. I mean, I'd be walking around and I got tired. I'm like, let me go down to the Ludex lounge, right? So I went down and I saw everybody with their cards out. I'm like, okay. So I opened my case, I laid my cards out. Next thing you know, everybody was buying up my cards. I'm like,
oh yeah,
this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And even as a dealer with a table, you're going to go to trade nights and take the stuff that hasn't moved yet. Yeah. Probably, right? I would assume you would.
Yep.
So to answer your question, Jane, 100% buy the VIP. And even better, get there at 10 a.m. in the morning on Wednesday and walk up and grab your badge. Otherwise, you're going to get there. The show opens at 1. You're going to get there at 12:30, and you're going to be in line for 2 hours, even with a VIP pass, to get your badge.
You have to wait to get that VIP pass.
Correct. And so, best thing I did last year was get to the 9 o'clock in the morning. As soon as they open, I grabbed my badge. I didn't even wait in line. I walked right up, got it. Within 2 hours of that line was hundreds of people long.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting in the VIP room, hanging out, selling cards while everybody else was waiting in line for their badge. Then I walked downstairs, and I was probably, second or third row into the show.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's good.
And you always want to be there Wednesday too, because
always.
That's
it's
a build up. It's a build up of people. Like when you're there on Wednesday and even Thursday, you can go from table to table and see what's there. But as you're into Friday and Saturday, it's like it's so hard. You're 2-3 deep at a table.
Totally.
It's so hard to get up and make deals and things.
Yeah,
like that.
You are. And I think as a seller, you want to be there Wednesday to sell, right? Because in terms of like in the VIP room, and I don't know what it's going to be like now that Whatnot has really cut down on the amount of repackers. I know the repackers business wasn't just Whatnot dependent for sure. It's on all the other platforms. but it'll be interesting to see this year if because Whatnot was just so accessible. Like you just create a repack and you're off selling it in 10 minutes, right? But that's who bought all of our product last year. I mean, we went through 400 or 500 football cards in the first 2 hours on Wednesday of the show, just gone like that to repackers.
Wow, that's incredible. All graded?
All graded. Well, not everything was graded, but we were grading just hundreds and hundreds of football cards from all that rookie class. And we'd get them back 9s, and it's like, ugh, right? Because Prism, just like in women's, like Prism just didn't grade well.
Yeah.
But they were paying more than I could ever hope to get. 100 cents on the dollar, 110%, 120% cash for those cards because they didn't care. They're throwing in repacks. They just needed the volume of cards.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
and then everybody's got money early too. They're all showing up with money. They got money to spend early.
Cash, like pockets full of cash.
Yeah.
So if you got anything you want to sell that fits that repacker thing, make sure you're in the VIP room on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
So tell everybody where they can reach you, if they want to reach out to you, if they have questions.
Yeah. So any social, it's at collect4good. So we're not on TikTok yet. We're going to be, we need to be. But Instagram, Facebook, X, at collect4good. Certainly on Whatnot. That's our primary that we're on all the time.
Yeah.
So Jane, thank you so much. Appreciate you. So we're gonna right after this show, right after you and I wrap, we're gonna jump back on Whatnot and do some more WNBA breaks. So if anybody wants to jump on, easiest place to find us for sure. We're on there all the time. But certainly can always hit us up on Facebook, Instagram.
Nice. Yep. Well, thanks for coming on and hanging out with me tonight. It's the holiday, this time of year, right? Yep. Family is coming around. People want to do something. So I thought, you know what? I usually do this episode early in the morning on Sunday, which wasn't going to happen. So this was great. Thanks for coming on, helping me out, do the episode in the evening. And thank everybody for coming in live and checking us out. And I may even do it again next Sunday night as well for the sports card lessons. And you're going to get 2 of me this week because you're going to get an episode of me on Wednesday also. So nice. It's two of me, no hobby chop this week. It's 2 sports card lessons. But again, Corey, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. And I'm going to let everybody know we'll start advertising for that 17th Whatnot show.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That will be fun. Yeah, once a month. It's going to be great. We're going to have a blast with it, Ken. Thank you so much for having me. Super thankful for who you are to the hobby. Super thankful that I found you a long time ago. And it's an honor to be here with you hanging out for sure. Honored to call you a friend now. Super cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Merry Christmas, my friend.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you. And to well, I won't be back live. I have a guest for Wednesday too. So Merry Christmas to everybody else out there too. And you will get me again next Sunday. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.